Okay, my name is Brian Brock, and this is my story. Growing up was pretty rough. My mom and dad were both addicts, so they was never really around very much, and when they was, they just really wasn't there. For the first 7 years of my life, I lived with my mom and my grandma, and while things were good with my grandma, they wasn't very much so with my mom. Once I turned 7, my dad got custody of me. For the first couple years with him, things were good. We got along great. He was an active parent, I guess you could say, my baseball coach and all that. And that was for the first couple years because he was married to my brother's mom. My brother's mom finally left him due to his active addiction. And then that's when things started going really downhill for me. My dad started abusing me mentally, physically, emotionally. He would ground me all the time over stupid things, like not closing the shower curtain right when I get out of the shower, just stuff that didn't really matter. And we was house hopping all the time. By the time I turned 18, I probably lived in 30 or 40 different homes, went to 13 different schools in 4 different states. So I never really had stability. I never really got to make healthy relationships because I was always moving, which ended up giving me fears of abandonment. So at that point, I was trying to manipulate and control every aspect of my life. When I was 15, my mom's mom got custody of me, and that's whenever my addiction took off. I started using meth. Me and some buddies was hanging out in the garage, drinking some beer, and he busted out of line, asked me if I wanted to try it, and I did. My first time using it, it's kind of indescribable. You get that initial burn, but after that goes away, then it's just an overload of euphoria. I used for quite a long time, 13 years in total. After my first use, we hung out for a little bit, and then they all went to the bar, all the adults did, and left me back at the house by myself. Well, while they was gone, I was rummaging through their cars, trying to find just a little crumb. And this is just my first time using. Little did I know that it was going to take me to where it did. Didn't really start using really heavy until I was probably 18. For the first 3 years, my family kind of kept an eye on me. They was my supplier. They was my only connection. But whenever I turned 18, I found my own connection. Started stealing scooters with a friend of mine, taking them to my dealer. He would give me an 8-ball for every scooter that I brought him. So me and my buddy started doing this at least once, twice a week. Not only did we steal scooters, but we brought cash with us too. I initially started supplying my family. It got so bad at one point that I ended up dropping 30, 40 pounds in less than 2 weeks. When I was 18, I also met my wife. She was never an addict, really good girl. When she moved down with me, we started using together all the time. We would lock ourselves in my room for days on end, not come out for nothing. I had a little bit of an intervention with my family. They sat me down and basically told me, you need to slow it down. You need to stop for a while. And so that's what I did. I put it down for a while. It was fairly easy because I had that accountability around me. Quit going to Indianapolis to pick up my drugs and started living somewhat clean. I was 19. Me and my wife moved out and got our own spot. Still stayed pretty clean. We smoking weed, drinking on the weekends, that kind of thing. We was going to work all the time, doing what we needed to do for the most part. It wasn't until I was 21 whenever I really started picking up on using meth again. Now, mind you, we used meth this entire time. We never really got spun out so much. We kind of used it as a tool, or so we thought, as a tool. Never really used it to party. Then whenever I was 22, my wife got pregnant with my first son. A couple months before he was born, my dad come over to the house and stayed with me for a week to help me get the house together. During that time, we didn't really do a whole lot of work on the house. We basically just sat around and got high on his paycheck. That week was the same week that he quit paying for his life insurance. So my first son was born. When I got the call, because he was supposed to be a C-section, he wasn't supposed to be born for another 2 weeks. I got the call, said he's coming now. Just got done getting really, really high with a couple friends. So I was freaking out, Didn't really have a way to get there. I found a ride, and when I finally got there, I was so high that the nurses wouldn't let me go in until I ate something and got my collar back because I was starting to get lightheaded from malnutrition. The day that my son was born was probably one of the happiest moments of my life. But he didn't keep me clean. None of my kids did. Me and my dad had a falling out right after my son was born. He started trying to micromanage my life. I quit talking to him for a minute. A few months later, my grandpa come up from Florida. Hadn't seen him in probably 15 years. So I drove out to see him. My dad was there. We kind of had a long conversation, made up. And for the next couple of those days I spent with my dad and my grandpa, those were really probably the best days that we've had together. I honestly can't remember having a better time with them, both of them. It was like we was never apart, like we'd been together this whole time. Little did I know that was going to be the last time I saw my dad alive. 2 weeks after that day, my dad overdosed on heroin and died. He was found by his best friend in the floor of his bathroom. And it really just goes to show you just how serious this disease is. There's really no warning signs. It's just there 1 minute, gone the next. After my dad died, I started using a lot more. I couldn't stop. I didn't really want to stop. I never really coped with losing my dad the way I did. And then come to find out that the week that we was using together, him losing his life insurance policy, from that week, I felt guilty. And I mean, I feel like everybody feels like you could have always done something to save him. It wasn't until I got into recovery that I found out that just wasn't the case. I didn't understand that my dad treating me the way that he was due to his addiction. So moving forward, things kept getting worse and worse with my wife. I was leaving him at home, sometimes days on end, just out running around trying to get drugs, or I was at work, and I wasn't really a father or a husband for a long time, and that's something that I struggle with even today. It's hard to forgive yourself for the wreckage of your past. As time went on, I started abusing my wife, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I started neglecting my kids. I was there, but I wasn't really ever there. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just lost, broken. Towards the end of my addiction, I started shooting up. Had never done it before. My wife left me. She took our kids. And in this little time frame, it was about a 3-week time frame, I lost my job, my house, my car broke down. My wife of 10 years left me, took our kids. I was sleeping in a computer chair in a garage. I was on the run in 2 different counties, started shooting up. Things was just the worst that they've ever been. I was suicidal, wanted to kill myself. I just didn't know where to go. I thought that things were just over for me. I didn't think that there was any coming back from it. On March 12th, 2022, was the day I finally got arrested, and that ultimately led me to recovery. They ordered me to inpatient treatment. As soon as I got there, I hit the ground running. 3 days into treatment, I got a sponsor and started working my steps. Really paid attention in group, was doing everything that I possibly could to make a change. I was desperate for it. I was tired of running. I was tired of using. I was tired of feeling like I wasn't enough, like my life wasn't worth it. So I got into recovery, started working steps with a sponsor, really dove into why I was doing the things that I was doing, finding out my common themes of my behaviors, learning coping skills, getting vulnerable. Got a home group, started chairing meetings, passing out key tags, secretary work. After 9 months of that, we had a group conscience and I was elected to be a treasurer. In my active addiction, I was stealing money all the time. Didn't matter who it was or for what reason. I was enabled a lot. I manipulated my way into getting anything that I wanted. So them electing me to be the treasurer, being in charge of money, being in charge of buying literature, key tags, coffee, giving me keys to the building. Like, I never thought that I could ever build up enough trust to even hold a position like that. Coming into Narcotics Anonymous really made me feel loved. The day I got there, I got hugged by so many people, total strangers telling you that they love you when, you know, you spend your whole life searching for somebody to just care about you, to want you around for you, not for what you have or what you can offer them. You know, I really found a family in Narcotics Anonymous. I found people that are truly there for me, just to talk. It doesn't matter what it is. So I become a treasurer of my home group, got the keys to the building, become a group service representative. I helped put my home group on the map of Narcotics Anonymous. Me and some other group members got together and we sent in an application to area so that the World Conference would recognize our area. And today, that's a big part of my life. Narcotics Anonymous has really shown me a new way to live, a way that I never thought was even possible, a way that I never even dreamed of being imaginable for myself. Today, I have the longest stint of sobriety and clean time I've ever had in my entire life. I've never been clean as an adult. Today, my thinking is totally different. Today, I'm actually happy. Today, I have healthy relationships, not only with my family, but with just people in general. Today, things are far better than I could have ever imagined or pictured for myself. And today, I love myself. Today, I have something to be proud of. Today, everything has changed for me. Today, I'm happy. I love the person that I am today. You know, I put in a lot of work to get to where I'm at. And there's been a lot of times where I thought that I wouldn't make it. A lot of times where I just wanted to throw in the towel and say, screw it. But something that I heard early on in treatment that really stuck with me was, don't leave until the miracle happens. Stick and stay. I've come to find that there's a lot of truth in that. You know, today I really don't have a big desire to use anymore, which is something that I thought I would never say. Something that if you knew me in my active addiction, or just in general, that was never something that would cross my mind. I always had to have something. It didn't matter what it was, really. I do things today that I would have never have done in my active addiction. I've talked about doing it, but never would have followed through with, like going on hikes, playing disc golf, you know, just little things. I'm kayaking, bowling, like just clean fun. Like, it's just something that I've never done before. My journey isn't as far from being over. I've still got so much work to do. But you know, I just take it one day at a time, like they tell me. I took a lot of suggestions, put in a lot of footwork, a lot of internal work, and had to lean on a lot of people. But today, I don't know, I'm just proud of the man I am today. And I'm never going back. Well, I can't say I'm never going back, but I don't want to go back to where I was. I don't want to go back to that misery. Today I can be happy. I can look myself in the mirror. And I don't know, things are good today.